The popular narrative about the Jewish people's exodus from Egypt goes something like this. Under God's direction, Moshe and Paro are engaged in a battle, as Egypt endures plague after plague. And only upon the plague that kills Paro's own son does the king finally relent and give the Jewish people their freedom. The decision was hurried, as the Jewish people were rushed out of the country with no time for the bread on their backs to rise. However, a closer reading of Exodus 11 and 12 reveals that Moshe knew of the final plague and the resulting redemption 2 weeks before that hurried moment. Presumably, provisions could have been made to prepare for the redemption and make the process a little less rushed. And yet, the urgency of the moment, the Jewish people leaving B'chipazon, is so central to the narrative that has permeated the recreation of this event in our celebrations of Passover each year. So we're left to wonder if Moshe deliberately withheld what he knew about the people's impending freedom in order to manufacture a sense of urgency. John Cotter, professor emeritus of leadership at Harvard Business School, has developed an 8-step process for leading change. The first step or foundation of this process is creating a sense of urgency within an organization. And this should make sense to us. Consider some of the most important developments in your life and how many of those only occurred because you felt a sense of urgency. Perhaps it was losing a job and needing to find something new, or allowing a sense of dissatisfaction in a job to grow until it felt almost unbearable. Even in our personal lives, it often takes a traumatic event to push us to improve a relationship, or the fear of losing someone we love to take our commitments to the next level. Perhaps this was at the core of Moshe's approach to leadership. Moshe understood that too much time to think about leaving was not a good thing, as is the Gemara asserts that only 20% of the Jews in Egypt actually left with Moshe during the Exodus. We can imagine the feelings of complacency created in a culture fearful of change and the uncertainties of freedom. Moshe was leading a cultural insurgency that needed to upend the compelling comforts of the status quo. Only a sense of urgency would do. Your freedom awaits, but we have to go right now. Many of us have struggled over the past year to take the sense of urgency foisted on us by the pandemic and find ways to harness that feeling so it allows for positive adaptation within our organizations. I hope you find some inspiration in your retelling and reliving of the Exodus this year, as you consider that adaptive leadership may have been afoot, underlying Moshe's motivations to help our people realize their freedom. Chag Sameach.